goal of this video is to hopefully knock a deer or 2 or 3 down, and then Hayden's going to show you how he makes venison jerky. But first we have to acquire the meat, so that's step 1. Hayden's going to go get posted up here, and then I'm just going to kind of still hunt around and hopefully bump some deer.
There's your jerky meat.
Oh yeah. Got some meat for the freezer now. I was looking pretty low coming into today. What's up everybody? Today Jake and I are taking advantage of this rainy day and making some jerky out of a deer that we shot last week. I brought it home. My dad came and helped me do the rough processing, the quartering and the boning out and trimming. Today we're gonna cut the venison into about 1/4-inch strips. There's a couple different ways to do jerky, but that's the way I like to do it the best. I like using steak cuts instead of doing a grind jerky gun type process. So we're cutting the meat into 1/4-inch strips, just trying to keep it as consistent as possible. We're also doing it out of half frozen meat because it makes it a lot easier to get those 1/4-inch cuts consistent. And the nice part about when it's frozen too is you can cut them a little thicker, and then once they thaw, they'll thin out when you kind of push down on them a little bit. So it just makes it a lot easier cutting it when it's frozen. I guess the thickness I'm going for is pretty much as thin as I can get it, with it easy where I'm not like trying to focus too hard to get it thin. Ends up being like 1/4-inch probably thickness. And then since it is frozen, we're just letting it thaw out on these paper towels and then get most of that moisture off before we put it in the marinade, which is why we're doing this first, so that while this stuff is thawing out, we can start making the marinade and then don't have to wait on it. The marinade I use is kind of a honey soy sauce type flavor. My dad always made the sausage when I was growing up, and I always made the jerky, so this is a recipe that I just threw together out of experimentation. It never really ends up exactly the same. A lot of it's just by feel. The base of it's pretty consistent. Starting with 1 part beef stock, then both these bottles of soy sauce, and 1 bottle of Wash Your Sister sauce. I saw a guy that does like barbecue videos that started calling it that. I think that's definitely what I'm gonna call it from now on. Throughout the whole time I kind of just keep smelling it. Like I said, it's never really consistent, so I just kind of eyeball it and keep smelling it and add what I think needs to be added based off the smell. So after that I put in a couple big tablespoons of garlic. Start with that. Brown sugar, a couple handfuls.
Starting to smell good already.
Oh yeah. A little splash of apple cider vinegar. Balsamic vinegar. One to 2 tablespoons of honey. Some cayenne pepper for a little bit of heat. Should I just cover the surface with it? Garlic powder.
Is that what you do with all the seasonings? Just kind of cover the
Yeah,
top?
for the most part. When it comes to like the dry seasonings, I'll just like cover the top, and then I'll go back, I'll smell it, taste it a little bit, and then add what I feel like it's missing. Onion powder. Red pepper flakes. These I get a little more generous with because really it's whatever sticks to the actual cuts of meat. Some maple syrup for some more sweetness. I've used molasses before too, but I found that when I use molasses, it tends to make the marinade get really thick and jelly-like. So I started using maple syrup instead. Some bullshit.
Some BS.
I got this for Christmas, and it's actually like, it seems like a joke seasoning, but it actually has some really good flavor to it. I want to get a little more generous with. And that's it. And then I stir it up, and I'll give it a whiff and see, and a taste, see what it's doing, and figure out if it needs more or something.
Aren't you supposed to waft it?
Oh, sure. Fine wine. It's pretty close, actually. Give it a whiff, Jake. Tell me what you think. What do you think it needs more of?
My big beak in there. I kind of just want to drink it right now. It smells pretty good to me.
That vinegar will go down a little harsh, though.
Little cup.
There you go. Here, I'll give you a little more. Give you some red pepper flakes. Give you some kick. That's it. Pretty powerful.
Oh, it's concentrated. No, that's pretty good. I mean, if you put a little dash of that in a Bloody Mary or something.
Oh yeah, that'd actually be pretty good.
I think you're good.
I think it's good, actually.
I think you might have kind of dialed
That's
it.
kind of the first time I've got it on the first go around. So yeah, now we just gotta wait. This meat's still thawing a little bit. We want to get as much of the moisture out of the meat so it'll soak up that marinade. So we're gonna let this thaw. Put this in the bowl, put it in the fridge for 2 days, and then come back and throw it on the dehydrator. I also like to save a little bit of this marinade while I'm making it, because if while I'm dehydrating it, I over dehydrate it, I like to put some more marinade back on it to rehydrate it. That happened last year to me. I got the new meat dehydrator, and compared to the old one that I was using for my dad, I pretty much fried the jerky, but I ended up just putting it back in the marinade and it saved it. So.
You just set it in the fridge though?
Yeah.
You don't re-dehydrate it, you just set it in
No,
the
I just put it in a plastic bag, seal it, try to get as much air out of it as I can, and then set it in the fridge for about a day.
Yeah.
And that brought it back to life pretty much, so.
It's a good tip.
Yep. The last time I didn't prepare for that, so I just ended up making a whole nother batch of it, but it's a lot easier just to save some in the beginning so you don't have to worry about that. So a lot of times I'll just like put it back in one of the soy sauce bottles or something like that just to save it just in case I mess up.
2 days later.
All right, so 2 days have gone by. Meat's been soaking in the fridge. So now we're just gonna pull it out of the bowls, get all that excess moisture off of it, sprinkle a little bit more seasoning on it, and then throw it in the dehydrator at 167 for 3.5 hours. We'll start and then we'll check it. And then the thicker pieces might need to stay in there a little bit longer than that, but it seems to be the right amount of time from the last time I did it. This dehydrator makes it into jerky a lot faster than the previous one I had, but that's where rehydrating it with the marinade kind of saved me. So I think we got it figured out now. We're gonna start pulling this meat out of here, get it dried off and in the dehydrator and cooking. Try to just fit as much as you can on a single rack and make sure no pieces are touching each other, otherwise they'll stick together and not cook evenly, but you can fit quite a few in this dehydrator. Make sure no pieces are like folded up on top of each other, so try to get it laying as flat as you can. One down, 9 to go. Alright, we got the whole dehydrator loaded up. Had a couple extra spaces, so plenty to fit in this one. We're gonna set it on 167 for the temperature and then 3.5 hours and just let it sit for a while, and then we'll come back and check it. Pull pieces off that are done, and then there'll probably be some thicker ones that need to rehydrate some more. So we're gonna set this thing, and that's it. Hard work's done. All right, it's been about 3.5 hours. We're gonna pull the jerky out, check what's done, pull off the stuff that is done, and vacuum seal the finished stuff and let the thicker pieces cook out. So.
Smelling pretty good at this point.
Smells good. Maybe do a little chef sampling.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna pull off the done pieces and have ourselves a bite. Basically, I'm just looking to see what's cooked through. If it's still, you can see that one's got some squish to it, so just want all that moisture to be out. But then pieces like, thinner pieces like this, it's got a little bit of squish to it, not too dry where it's crispy, but it's got a little bit of play. That one's done. Throw that finished bowl. But done, not done. At this point too, I'll usually flip them, pieces that aren't done. Scout's looking like, I want some of that. Don't you?
So he said, you guys need somebody to sample?
I think the recommended finish temp is 130 to 135, but I just go off the feel. Oh yeah. It's good for me.
Wow, you're nice. But you won't get none. Maybe a little piece. What do you think about it?
pretty happy with it. It's turned out good. Maybe a little more salt. If I can put some more salt on it, then it's easier to add salt in the beginning because it sticks a lot better, but I'm happy with it. Chili. All right, we pulled off the pieces that are done. We're gonna vacuum seal these up and let the rest cook. But we got one perfect sized batch here that's going with us to Ohio. So we're gonna throw it in the vacuum sealer and it's ready to go. You don't really have to vacuum seal it. I just like to vacuum seal it just so if there is some moisture in it, I can freeze it and then just make sure it keeps longer. But you could just throw it in a plastic bag. It's just a little extra precaution. So we're gonna do that and then get to eating. That's the way I make jerky. Like we said before, there's lots of different ways to do it. I'm sure my recipe will change over the years. I feel like it's different every time I do it. But if you have a favorite way to make jerky or a favorite marinade you use, drop it in the comments. We'd be happy to see what everyone else does and maybe evolve my own recipe. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.